Buddy, just finishing up a little some housekeeping, but let me just fire off an invite to Bobby, and we will get this train rolling. A lot going on tonight. Okay. Link sent. Text him just to nudge him a little reminder. Sure he's on it though. Where'd it go? Oh, sure he'll see me somewhere. Let's see. Just give me 1 sec. We'll get this going. Okay. One little bit of. Okay. All right. So we have 27 game slate tonight between basketball and hockey. Lot going on. I just updated the projections for all. Let me just post in there as well. Okay. So yeah, lots and lots going on. So I'm very curious to hear. Yeah, you're right, Timothy. Is a big boy headache slate for sure. At least I'm going to be around somewhat. So if news comes out that I have to adjust to, no, I can do it. But why does it feel like even though tonight's 14 games, it's a little less aggravating than last night? You know what I can do? Like you say something like Garland in, which is obviously news to people that are interested in playing him or whatever. I feel as though with a 15, 14 game slate, you can hide your mistakes a little bit better. In other words, like if I forget to play, say, Cam Reddish, if Bogdan Bogdanovic is out or something like that, it won't kill me as much when there are 27 other options that can take its place. Whereas if you screw up on a 4 or 5 game slate where one key absence is going to make one play, just somebody you just have to have without a lot of options, then you get exposed like much quicker. All right, Bobby's putting his hat on, so now we know that we're ready to kill.
All right.
Just a couple of people are asked with respect to tomorrow. So I am going to update the sheets for the Thanksgiving slate, but I don't think I have it in me to put up full showdown slates for all three. So I don't think I'm going to do that. I might play them, but I don't think I'm going to be able to update all that stuff. But I will update the Thursday, at least the main slate. Probably early in the morning or something like that. I don't think anything big is going to happen. Well, I mean, you have to presume that at this point the Kamara's out. I mean, I don't know, but he'll probably be out. And I don't know who's quarterbacking the Rams, the Lions. I'm not playing whoever it is, so I guess it doesn't matter that much. What's going on, Bobby? What I was saying earlier, maybe you could agree with me or disagree with me. One thing that's kind of cool about a 15 game slate is that if news comes that you don't notice or that you don't act properly on, you can hide your mistakes a little bit easier on a 15 game slate. There's like 27 other options that can take the place of the guy you miss or forget to play. Where if it's a 4 game slate and you miss the one guy that slides in, everybody's gonna be on it. You're gonna be dead. So there's gonna be stuff I might miss tonight just because of the way just the volume of stuff that happens. But is there any news right now that you're particularly waiting on that's going to drive your approach to the slate? And if not, what is your approach to the slate looking like right now?
Well, it was going to be the news of whether or not Garland was a big one. He's in now, just as we come on air.
Okay.
Rubio is a little bit of a bump down, but I still don't mind Rubio. But I was gonna play some Rubio. I still don't have official Toronto news yet, and that's big news. Precious, OG, Kem Birch, all questionable. That's big news. There's a lot. There's a lot of stuff that we'll probably hear about later on. All the Philly stuff we don't have
Right.
news on. I think Danny Green is going to play, but I don't think we have news on Harris or Curry. Let's see. There's something coming in. Terrence Ross just ruled out, who I had in a million lineups. So that's going to be. I'm going to have to get off of here at 6:30 Eastern because that's a big deal. Terrence Ross being gone and Ricky and Gary Harris being back basically means you'll have Harris, who's a no usage guy in the game for the most part, and you'll end up make Suggs, Carter, basically everybody on the Orlando side a much better play.
Okay.
So that's a big deal. And I'm going to have to go through and get rid of Ross. But there's tons of news that I expect to hear after the break. Now we could, say play the waiting game and try and delay, but there are some good stuff in these early games. Unfortunately, I don't think my sneaky LeBron play is going to be quite as sneaky anymore. With Anthony Davis, as I sort of was alluding to before, being ruled out, I think that LeBron is going to actually pick up more ownership than people think, but maybe not as much as he should. He'll be owned on FanDuel, but I don't think he's going to be owned that much on DraftKings. And I think LeBron is a tremendous play. I love that game as to stack. I think that both defenses are really bad. You also have, with Noah Davis and playing against a big team, you'd expect to see Jordan and Howard play a bunch. I have Howard rated ahead of Jordan from the history of Jordan being poor on back-to-backs, but I do have interest in both of them. So that's something I'm doing quite a bit of. That's the problem, is we have this good value in Orlando, this good value for the Lakers potentially. And then then I don't have a ton of interest in the Brooklyn-Boston game. But if we hear, Robert Williams is out and Josh Richardson's out, but I haven't heard officially on Jaylen Brown yet, which would make Tatum a very strong play. That's a 7:30. But in general, that game I don't have as much interest in. But once you get past these first games, then you've got a bunch of weird stuff in these later ones. I like the Memphis-Toronto game, but again, it's going to depend on who's playing. If all three of those guys hit for Toronto, Siakam, Van Vliet, Scotty Barnes, awesome plays. Especially in this matchup, they're probably good plays anyway, so I think you want to try to prioritize those guys. On the Memphis side, we don't have official word on Dylan Brooks yet, which could be, somewhat significant. Not crazy significant, but somewhat significant. We don't have news on. I was just thinking Miami is going to sit somebody tonight. I don't know what's happening with that. I am very interested in Jimmy Butler. I love that the guys who I'm playing a lot of are really, really low owned. Jimmy Butler and LeBron being two of my favorite plays and playing them together. So I'll get low ownership on those guys. I like there's spots in this Minnesota situation that I think are good. Like Russell, I think Russell, Edwards, and Cat are all very, very live plays. But and then we get into the late games. Is Philly just going to get smoked by Golden State anyway? Now, even if they do, if Harris and Curry are out, Korkmaz right back to Korkmaz, some Shake probably. I'm good with Tyrese Maxey if they can keep that. If you think they can keep that game close. If Curry plays, I like Curry. And then you have the Portland Sacramento game, which is just a nice game to target. So that's the game. If you're going to postpone, I would encourage getting pieces of, because I like Harrison Barnes a ton. I like Buddy Hield a lot. I like Tyrese Halliburton, who's going to be the lowest owned of the bunch. I like De'Aaron Fox. I even like Holmes a little bit. And then on the other side, I like Lillard and I like McCollum, and I like a little bit of Norman Powell and Larry Nance. So those are that's the late night game that I would be looking to stack and then probably adjust along the way. So I'm going to have to do some of that once we get off here.
Let me ask you a couple more questions. So you're really good at this, is trying to siphon out like the good value versus what the hell we want to play him for. So let me throw a couple of names at you based on news that we have come up. What do you think of either or both of DeAndre Jordan or Dwight Howard with AD out?
I just said, I like both of them. They're both staples in my lineups. I don't love playing those guys in general, but with no AD against a team that plays with two bigs, you'd imagine they would split straight down the middle, probably 48 minutes. I don't know if the Lakers have another option they can really even potentially look at. So really hard for me not to have interest in both those guys.
Okay.
But especially Howard. I think Howard is the better play of the two.
Interesting. All right, next one is, what about the guy that's showing up as just the best point per dollar play is Franz Wagner. What do you think of him?
Well, yeah, he gets an even a better play than I thought he was going to be today because of the lack of Terrence Ross, which is going to
Okay.
open up some more minutes and some more usage to go around. So I like Wagner, I like Suggs, I like Carter a lot, and I like Bamba as well. So
Yeah.
you can go ahead and stack it. Now, if we had no Gary Harris in addition to this, I would be saying, hey, let's gamble on the RJ Hampton train again. But I'm not going to do it, I don't think.
Let me throw a couple of more 3,500 or less guys in there to ask you, maybe as pivots, maybe as good plays, maybe as traps. What do you think of Brandon Clark?
I like Brandon Clark, but I don't think he's slightly. I like the game a lot, so I have that game stack some places. So I'm playing him in those. I do have a lot of them, but I'm playing him in addition to those other guys, and not so much instead of Dwight or I expect one of Dwight or DeAndre to at least put up 20 some odd fantasy points or so. One of them has to. I really believe that, and I think Dwight's the more likely candidate in this particular matchup. It always makes me nervous to play Dwight in my big buy-in lineups because he's always one ejection away. He could foul out in 10 minutes. He does weird stuff. But I just don't see how they're going to play big enough without him. I mean, they'd have to play LeBron at the 5, and I guess you could say LeBron could guard Turner maybe, but I don't think LeBron against Sabonis is anything the Lakers want to do for the whole game. I'm just completely shocked by the Lakers' projected ownership. I really don't understand it. I think, and I'm gonna sprinkle in a little bit of Westbrook as well. Like he's obviously hasn't been good with LeBron on the court, so LeBron is my preferred play. Plus, you get a little narrative coming back from the suspension. Good matchup, all the things sort of lending in LeBron as being a good play. You can go ahead and keep asking me, guys. The other guy who I do have in that game, by the way, I like LeVert as a run back, even in limited minutes at 5,500 against this Laker team. I think he could be really good, and I think he's projecting for 24 minutes. I think there's a chance they actually would bump that up to 26, 28 if things were going well, if they were in a tight game or something. So just keep an eye out for that one. I also think to that same thing, Chris Duarte is a good long shot tournament play to me. Sorry, keep going with those cheap guys.
Great. What do you think of the two Detroit guys? One being Trey Lyles and the other being Corey Joseph?
I don't like that I have some Corey Joseph on FanDuel. Corey Joseph is questionable as far as from what I.
Well, he's probable, I think.
Oh yeah, he's probable. My bad. I'm not playing Corey Joseph on DraftKings, but I do have a little bit of interest on FanDuel because I'm spending up for the Jimmy Butler and Sabonis and Brogdon and LeBron. That's like my core combo. Okay. So I don't love that I have some Corey Joseph. I think Lyles is viable, I guess. They don't need to play big against Milwaukee. There's a chance, Jeremy Grant might be the biggest guy they play, or Sadiq Bey. So I could see those guys being phased out a little bit, but they did play well last night. So, and they won a game. So maybe I give a little bit of love to Lyles. I could squeeze a little bit of Lyles in. I think it's a little bit thinner than the Lakers guys, but I don't think that it's too thin.
I got three more cheapos, and then we can go on to good plays. That would be, I'll just give it to all three and see if either any of these guys, do anything for you. Cody Martin, Davion Mitchell, and Rudy Gay.
Yeah, pretty low interest for me on all those guys.
Okay. All right. Because again, these are the guys that show up as point per dollar plays. All those guys I mentioned to some degree, and I did it kind of in order. And so as long as like Wagner is like not like one of those like trap plays, that's just as a zero usage. Those guys that we talk about, they're like zero usage guys that are going to show up as point per dollar plays you just don't want to play. As long as he's not like a bad play like that, I have no problem playing. That's the only reason I was.
Yeah, and I hear you. I mean, look, he had the terrible game, and that game you have to just sort of cross off the list. They were down by the most points the team's been down by at halftime. They lost by that Milwaukee game. What were they down 48 at halftime or something? Yeah. I mean, that was just a whole mismatch. I expect him to be a little more competitive tonight, and Wagner's had two terrible games in a row, which hopefully keeps a few people off of him, but it won't keep everybody off of him. He's still showing up too good projections wise. I have a ton of Wagner and a ton of Wendell Carter. The hardest guys to get out of my lineups are those guys.
Yeah, he was my last run. Actually, Carter was locked in for me. I'm going to do another one to see where that goes, but that was my last build. That had him at 100%.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I just don't think I'm not going to have 100%, but I am going to have him a frightening amount. Always a little scary to play Orlando guys a ton because they could get smoked.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
But it's a great spot for them. I mean, Charlotte doesn't play defense that much. They play really fast. Charlotte's playing really good basketball right now in general. So you got to like that whole game environment, which makes The other guy who's a reach on DraftKings, but I don't mind making a little bit of that reach, is LaMelo. But I prefer Miles Bridges, although I expect him to lose a little bit, not necessarily minutes, but maybe some offensive usage. He's playing a million minutes to PJ Washington. But I think that Gordon Hayward and Bridges make a little more sense on DraftKings. LaMelo is like a close to a lock, like a 65%, 70% play for me on FanDuel.
That's interesting.
I think I think he should be your the main point guard you're playing. And I think Damian Lillard makes for a terrific guy alongside of him.
Do you still like you mentioned Duarte's a long shot tournament play, and you mentioned LeVert a little bit, but do you still like the main guys, Brogdon and Sabonis over there in Indiana?
Yeah, a little bit of a knockdown with LeVert playing some, but I think that it's just, I mean, look, man, we, like you said earlier with the Lakers, sure, it's a back-to-back, weird things could happen and all this stuff, but like, you got to treat them a little bit like Coors Field right now. It really took the Knicks, struggling for they got off to a hot start and then they literally had to play. They had 50 points in the first, I think, 13 minutes of the game or something like that.
They were up 20 in 2 seconds.
Yeah, and then the Lakers came, to their credit, Westbrook actually played great and they came back, but this defense is just not good, and it's not going to get any better without Anthony Davis. I hate to tell you. So you gotta like those guys. That's what I think that I've got Brogdon at roughly 50%. I've got 55% of Sabonis, who I think is just going to beat the hell out of this team if they let him do so. And then I have some LeVert as a safety net too, because I think that I want to play a little bit of that LeVert and maybe speculate. Even in 24 minutes against this Laker team, I would expect LeVert to be in the 30+ range, which makes him a good play at 5,500.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Anthony Davis. I mean, sometimes he struggles or whatever it is, but when he's locked in defensively, I mean, he's rough, man. I don't know. There was a sequence the other night, which was it was actually kind of fun to see, where they were playing the Pistons, and he was guarding Cade Cunningham, and Cunningham just first he tried to shoot from the top of the key or whatever, 3-pointer. Davis blocked it. Then he got the ball back in the same possession. He tried to take him to the rim, and Davis blocked that one too. He's like, "Not so fast, there, Rook." You know what I mean? It was kind of fun too.
Yeah, as much as I give Davis a hard time because I think I really think he just plays offensively a softer game than I think he should, but defensively the guy is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And even with that unbelievable, they've been awful defensively. So without him and LeBron coming back, it feels like let's freaking go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And by the way, I really think that these minutes and the projections for the Lakers, I just think everything's off. I think LeBron might play 38, 40 minutes tonight. I don't think he's going to play 33 minutes. I don't think that Westbrook is going to. Well, Westbrook will play 36 to 38 probably. The weird one for me is THT. By the way, I just want to throw that out there. I have a lot of this game stacked, and I think that it's probably right to play a little bit of THT if I'm going to stack it as heavily as I have been, even though THT really loses a lot of his stuff with LeBron on the court. But we don't have Davis, and there is a chance they could try to go small, at least for a few minutes, even though I don't think they will, but they could. It's certainly within the realm. Kevin Porter Jr. just got announced in, by the way.
Okay.
And as you said, there's just so many good plays on this slate. It's hard to know what to do. So what I'm doing is I'm using the value that might seem a little bit thin, and I'm stacking it together, making a little neat stack, and then playing LeBron or Butler or Ja Morant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These are just mixing in these low-owned, high-price guys who I feel like are pretty safe for a good 50, but very likely could be 70+.
I'll tell you what I think I'm going to do tonight. And I haven't done this in a little while. Just so you guys know what I'm doing. Josh Richardson is out. I don't know if that matters to anybody.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to build my lineups with my numbers and with my SaberSim and all that stuff. And then after I get my lineups in, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going in kind of and hand by hand, one by one, because I only have 20 lineups, so I can do it. And just trying to correlate a little bit, try to get try to get some run backs, try to, make the lineups, make a little more have the storylines make a little more sense. And if I even have to give up a little bit of projection equity to do that, I think that's what I want to do tonight. Especially on these big slates, if you get one game that goes off,
one game goes to overtime. I mean, the likelihood is that one of these games go to overtime.
Yeah,
roughly 5% of games go to overtime.
That's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to do one more projection run. I'm going to build lineups just cold with SaberSim probably, and give myself some whatever, and then X out guys I don't like, and then I'll just and then I'm just gonna just go through one by one and just kind of just, you know, if I have like Ja in the lineup, not Ja, if I have say DeJounte Murray in the lineup, maybe just like bite the bullet and just play Trey or something like that. Because I came
Yep.
up across a couple of lineups earlier where I had it's gave me the idea where I had like DeJounte Murray and I had also like LaMelo Ball, for example. Um, well, why don't I just like I'll save a little money. I'll go from LaMelo Ball down to Trey, you know, and get a little correlation, and then spend, you know, use that money somewhere else, you know.
Yeah,
Probably,
I agree with that thinking in general for this kind
yeah,
of slate, especially.
yeah.
Um, I really like a couple other things that to address the question in chat. It's a really good question about Derek White. I do like Derek White tonight, but I prefer my favorite play in that game is Podol. I think Podol is an awesome play.
Oh, I like
Uh,
that because I was getting to him. Okay.
yeah, he's in one of my two big builds on DK and a number of others. I got him 35% right now.
Yeah.
Um, I really like that spot, but I'm not doing as much yet, which I'm going to have to clear out in 5 minutes when I get out of here. I'm going to have to like clear out some of these because I really think there is some value on these kind of slates, and I've said it so many times in stacking these later games when there's so many question marks because you can pivot over to the Memphis Toronto game if you get the news breaking your way Toronto wise. You can pivot over to anything else. I mean, we're going to hear about guys that probably aren't even listed as questionable. It's too many games for it not to happen. We see it happen every
Right. Right.
Why wouldn't it happen? And then you have the Sixers guys, which is a big deal. But I think people are sort of writing that game off. But like, I mean, the Sixers are, they can hang tough in one game, and if they can do that, I'm even considering actually if they do play, I'm considering a Curry lineup. But I don't think I'm going to end up being able to pull it off on.
Has that actually worked? Because I remember we had that a couple of times recently.
Oddly, Seth has been the one who's played really well.
Okay.
But yes, I mean it's not necessarily the strongest thing, and it's a little different too because I mean we had it before in the past when there used to be a Klay Thompson, you know what I mean? When there used to be a Kevin Durant at different points when I was playing DFS. So this is a really different situation. So I give you a little shot to that, not a ton of it, but you can also always pivot if you have some other late game guys that you can stack in that. That's where I'm at. Happy holidays to you, Mike, Miami Mike 305. And so that's basically sort of a sum up of what my plan is for this.
Hey, while I got you here for a couple of more minutes, remember I doubt everybody's gonna be around, or you're gonna certainly you probably aren't gonna be around to do anything late tomorrow before the football games. You want to give any updated takes on the football tomorrow?
To be honest, I mostly focused on the basketball slate today.
Okay.
I still think that there's value in some of these cheap receivers that maybe aren't projecting quite as well as that I think they maybe should be. We also don't know what's going to happen. Like Marquise Goodwin's questionable. That could be a determining factor for some of the passing game there, even though that's not exactly the passing game you want to try and go after in general. But Gallup, Diggs, we need to know about what's happening to the Dallas receivers. It's really hard to know at this point, and hopefully we'll have some more of that information tomorrow. I love DeAndre Swift. I would take DeAndre Swift over every other running back straight up this week.
Well, that's interesting. Okay.
I've come completely around on this one. It's just they've got a good run blocking line, which is hard to believe, but they do. And DeAndre Swift is just the usage is just impossible to match. And he's productive, so I'm gonna be heavy on that. And I'm sort of coming around to maybe the Lions winning that game. I guess that's sort of where I'm at.
Well, because what's his name's not playing, right?
Yeah.
Josh Fields is not playing.
I know. Yeah, you got Dalton. Yeah, I don't actually know if that's going to affect things all that much.
Well, it didn't affect the line at all.
Mm-hmm. That seems about right to me.
Yeah.
But I have right now. I've got 72% Wendell Carter and Franz Wagner going today, and I need to probably lessen that a little bit. It's a little too heavy for me. On FanDuel, by the way, Josh Giddey. I like FanDuel. I like Giddey on both sides. It's fine, but I like him on FanDuel. The matchup against Utah, it's tough and all that stuff, but that's no big deal. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else that maybe on FanDuel is. Sengun showing up makes a little bit of sense to me. Christian Wood, not with Sengun, but separately. I think you can play Bamba and Carter together. Scotty Barnes, I'm speculating on. I think it's like Scotty Barnes has come down a little bit lately, but like this, if you had to create a matchup that says, hey, this is a perfect matchup for Scotty Barnes, you get an a tempo, flying all over the place team that turns the ball over, that gets their shots blocked a ton. Just feels like Scotty Barnes could have a really big night. So a lot of Scotty Barnes and Van Vliet to go in my lineups as well, which I didn't touch on before.
And are you still okay with Duarte even with Levert playing?
I think he's a long shot play. I think that you use him for the 150 max, maybe in one lineup or something out of 20 is where I would be. And I think it's thin, but I think that there's upside there. I think that's pretty much all I've got. If there's no more questions or thoughts or anything, I think I'm probably going to go here and edit my lineups as I've got Terrence Ross in basically every FanDuel lineup I've got. So I'm going to have to make sure.
Oh, really?
He was, yeah, I mean, it's just, I wanted exposure to that game. It seemed like a great Terrence Ross spot. And with him out, obviously he's not as good of a play as he was. All right. All right, Cheats. Anything else before I jump?
No, you could jump. I'm just gonna update the. I'm gonna hang around here. I'm gonna update the numbers with Terrence Ross out. See if that affects anything. I'll convey that to the people here, and then I'm gonna be just kind of building my lineups here. People are free to kind of watch. I'll check around and see if there's any questions in here. I can just kind of do this, so it's not a big deal for me.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, good luck to everybody out there tonight. Everybody has a great Thanksgiving. She's have a great Thanksgiving, man, and we'll see you on Friday.
Oh, by the way,
yep,
I have one more public service announcement. So again, if you guys aren't into it, it's totally cool. It's no skin off my back. But what I've been doing is I've been putting horse racing stuff on from time to time. Just if I'm going to be looking anyway for myself, and they're like kind of stray values that I just felt as though I should just pass along, I would just pass them along. And I'm not telling you guys you have to bet horse racing. I'm not telling you guys to like it. I'm not saying whatever. I'll say this is that if you are betting horse racing, you should definitely use my picks over whatever else you're doing. Okay?
100,000,000% true.
Second of all, it might actually be worth dipping your toe in. You know what I mean? If you have any interest, diversifying your gambling portfolio or whatever. And just by going with what I said, not that this is ever going to happen again, but like the first time we did it, like 3 days ago, I gave it literally 4 picks and one of them won at 40-1. And that's never going to happen. And today, even I put it out there. I came up with like four picks. One of them was scratched, so we were down to 3. One of them was lower odds than I said to bet him at, so it didn't even account. One lost, and the other one won at 11-1. Okay. And the guy, there's one guy in there that's been following it. And the other thing is there's also a guy in the horse racing Discord, by the way. His Twitter name is Baychok Racing. And he's a subscriber. He's actually a really, really well-known like horse racing writer from New Orleans, who comments in there sometimes. So every once in a while he'll put his picks in there, and I promise you those picks are plus EV. So if you're interested, I mean, just something else to do if you get kind of bored with other stuff. But I'm going to continue to do this, and I'm about to update the projections, and I'm going to upload those, and I'll try to find some questions in here to answer. And you guys are just going to be watching me build my last builds at the
Yeah, that sounds good. Good luck to everybody, and again, have a great Thanksgiving. All good luck, guys.
Okay, so I'm just updating this settings sheet, and then I'm going to run another set. But let me just make sure I don't have multiple files open, because that'll then see, I caught it. If you create a file with the same name as the other one, it doesn't let it just errors you to death on FanDuel. So I have to make sure to do that before I run this stuff. Okay, so FanDuel running clear. Right, that's clear. And then I'll show you guys before I post it, and then I will post it what I have. And this is just through 6:30, so obviously there's a lot of stuff that can happen here. But this is updated as I'm going to get you, I think, probably tonight. Okay, so let's take a look and see what we have. For DraftKings, we have wow. So Brogdon is looking to be an extremely strong play here. Wow. Wasn't even anticipating that. He's probably look at him, he's like the best play on the slate. Him and Carter. And if you rate him by point per dollar, then you get all these Orlandos, right? Well, you get Jordan, but there's Wagner, Suggs, even Lyles is a good play. But this is actually pretty telling that Brogdon is such a strong play here. I'm going to consider that. And then, he's only 24%, whatever. And then you have this one, this is FanDuel, LaMelo, as Bobby was mentioning, Bobby's going to have the most of his lineups, and this value score kind of plays that out, you know. So yeah, and Corey Joseph's good over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload these guys to the site, and this is how I do that, by the way. And then I'll build lineups as well. Just upload it here. And again, this is not entertaining to you. You can just, you know, peel off. And then you can watch me build my lineups. If that helps you, great. If not, again, it's just what I'm doing. So, and I will, before I do that, how about this? I will check for questions. Oh, see, I'm in the wrong, I uploaded the wrong thing. See, that's why I'm going to pay attention. So it's this one and this one. Boom. Replace all. Okay, very good. Version, whatever. Now I'll go into the actual. Well, do I need to recode these as updated? I think I already have them as updated, but just for the hell of it, let me see how they're created. It says updated, which is fine. So let me then go tell everybody in the Discord, post one more update. Okay. Now we're going to build the lineups with the new. And I think I can show you guys this because this is not necessarily what I'm going to be putting in, but I'm going to show you at least the core. Let me just see any questions here before I do that. THT playing with 3 stitches in his thumb that need to be removed. Just took the off thumb brace. Yeah, I don't need that. I don't need to play that. I mean, so 100 guys you could play. I mean, why do you have to do that? And I'm telling you, like LeBron hates playing with it. All right, so let's so what we're gonna do, and this helps you use my stuff. Upload data to SaberSim, and then we're gonna see what this comes up with using these kind of sliders that I kind of created. Well, this pattern I created. So let's see what this comes up with. And I'm just gonna replace those with these. Then I'm gonna just go in and I'll show you like an example of one that I'll do. And again, I'm gonna give up some projection integrity for a little bit of correlation integrity. And you'll see as you'll see, it makes sense, right? Carter, as I mentioned, is almost 100% owned, and Brogdon, I said was the best play. He's like 60% owned. So this is a good, you know what I mean? Like this is a good bunch of lineups. I think this makes a lot of sense. I might not change this at all, but let me just see. All right, so this is going to be the lineup slate. If anybody needs any help with this type of thing, just like basic Excel, you know, like how to download stuff, you know, maybe if you want me to make a separate video on this, I will. Again, I just got used to it. I didn't have like a lot of Excel experience growing up or anything like that. I just kind of learned it for the purposes of doing this type of thing. Okay. And it's on the other monitor, but I'm just basically replacing it with this. I'm uploading this. And yeah, I think I lied. I think I like the way those lineups look. I might just go with those and not worry too much about the correlation part. Kind of like those exposures. So yeah, I'm kind of into that idea there. So I'm probably just gonna roll with those. Let me see FanDuel. Let's do FanDuel now. let me guess what will happen when I run FanDuel. I imagine I'll get. Well, you think I'll get 100% LaMelo? Maybe. Out of 20 lineups, actually, I'm doing 30 tonight. Probably a lot of Carter, right? A lot of Carter. Well, maybe not. But LaMelo will be the key, guaranteed. Let's just take a look. So let's see what it does. Hope SaberSim. Okay. SaberSim, and then we will upload these to here. Boom. And again, there's going to be a lot of changes throughout the course of the night, probably, but at least this is a good start. So we'll play 30 lineups. So let's take a look, see what this looks like. You think it's going to lock me into LaMelo? Even though I gave ownership fade, even though I gave randomness? This is why, by the way, to answer some people's questions, like, do you ever limit exposures? The reason why I don't is because I already factor that in when I have these things build the lineups. So if it's going to build me, 100% of a guy, even though I requested randomness and even though I requested ownership fade or whatever, it's because he's that good of a play, No, it's not locking in LaMelo, but it is almost locking in Wendell Carter, which, yeah, so that seems to be what's going on. Ooh, I like these little guys here, this little CJ McCollum, a little DeRozan. Lineups that look a little weird. Little Bobby Portis. I like that. So I'm going to keep these as well. And let's go to FanDuel. And again, I could do this through SaberSim. I know all the sites actually do have a lineup swapper where you can take what you have there and just replace it. We don't yet, obviously, but step at a time. So this is my original lineups. And then what I'll do is I'm going to put just on the wrong page here, but I'll do it on the other page. And then we'll take a look and see what it translated to when it actually hits the FanDuel interface. Oops. I screwed up. All right. Put that over here. And then take the top lineup. I'm going to put that in the big one. We're going to take the second best lineup. We're going to put that in the qualifier. Third best lineup. Put it in the slam. All lineups will be in the lottery. Save. Where was FanDuel again? Oh, it's still on the other page. I'll show you over here. Upload, downloads. Very nice. Okay, so I guess I'll just go over my last minute of my exposures here. So 58% Ball, 64% Joseph. Basically a 1,000,000% Wendell Carter Jr. And then kind of sprinkles, 40% McCollum. Wow, that's a big one. Okay, that's good. 50% Caruso. That's unexpected. Giddey, 65%. Okay. So we got some shots. We got some shots here. I have to show you what's in SaberSim, what my DraftKings exposure is, or I can just read it to you, I guess. Let's see. DraftKings. Oh, Anunoby was out, so I guess that's something you have to deal with. Anyway, as of now, at least, we have Carter, Suggs, Wagner. You see it there, 60, 50, 40. But maybe, like you said, maybe I should go back and take a look at the Toronto guys, as I probably will, with Anunoby out. But that's what I got for now. Good luck, everybody, and have a happy Thanksgiving. Hope you guys take something down. Be back Friday with more stuff, and good luck to you.